Very good. Very good. All right. This is the Charter Review, Group 2, call to order. May I take a roll call, please? Kathleen Corbett,
Here.
Russ Kimes,
I'm here.
great. Bill Perrett. Okay, not present. Perfect. Okay, thank you. So this morning, this is Group 2. We have Cheryl Jones, who will be giving us our first interview. Cheryl kindly sent around some materials prior to this call to basically where she's made edits and suggestions throughout the entire charter. So Cheryl, just for edification, um, you might get some questions from other groups. Different parts of the charter have been divided up. For instance, you have something for Section 1. We technically aren't the keepers of Section 1, but we're happy to talk about the Section 1 change that you might want to wait, and we'll put it into the notes so that the other team can also get sort of get your input onto that. So if you don't mind, what we'll do is go through all of your notes and end to end, and at that point, you might get a reach out or two from others with some questions, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
That's great.
Super. So Cheryl, here.
Before you begin, Jennifer, just quick, a question perhaps for Kathleen. As I am an employee, would you like me to recuse myself because she's HR, or what's your pleasure on that?
You're certainly welcome to be present there. Well, let's take it as it goes. How do you feel, Cheryl? You okay?
I have no problem with Russ being present.
Then let's carry on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super. Thanks. Okay, so Cheryl, if you could introduce yourself and your role.
My name is Cheryl Jones, and I'm the Human Resource Director for the town.
Okay, and you've been with the town for?
I have been with the town for 31 years. I was in social services for 11 and then moved over to HR.
Super. Great. Wonderful. So you basically gave us some changes that you'd like made. Is there anything you like before we start to talk about? Would you like to talk about the charter and any other overviews or suggestions or, perspectives?
No, I mean, I went through it. I gave you some of the changes I see. I think, as I had said, my part is more in the ordinance, which I have some real concerns with. But in regards to the charter, I don't have that much with personnel in there.
Okay, great. So, what I will do is I will share your version on screen if that's all right. And
Sure.
then I'm going to keep a paper copy below because in case we are out of sync in terms of the what you've given us and what's actually in the charter. So if you just hold tight, I will share. All right. Super. Can everyone see?
Yep.
Super. All righty. So, if we go to general powers of the town, section 1-38, currently that reads today to establish a retirement and pension system or systems for members of the police force and fire departments, and to provide for a retirement payment or pension to be paid to any paid or salaried officer or employee of the town upon his retirement.
So many of the town departments have been closed out of the pension and put into a 401, 457. So that's why I did the and or, because there are other retirement systems out there beside the pension.
Okay. Got it.
So just, you said to establish a retirement and or pension system. So isn't a pension system a retirement program?
It is, in speaking when we were back working with the town attorneys, we had talked about distinguishing it because the pension, our town pension, had been closed.
Right.
And it is a retirement system, but it is known to town employees as that is the retirement system, and we have introduced a new one. So I put it in just as a
So-
wording
Right.
suggestion.
So as I read it, and correct me if I've got this wrong, to establish a retirement, and then it says, and so you have a whole retirement, maybe it should say retirement plan, right? Because a
Perfect.
401k, a 401k can be a part of the retirement plan. The old pension system is part of that too, because you still
Yep.
maintain some of that. Should establish a retirement plan. And then it says, and pension system or systems. At the full, it looks like it contemplated that we have other types of programs
Mhm.
under our retirement plans, and with the edification of a pension system or a system for members, without further clarifying what kind of system it is, but it's a system. Is your 403, is it 403B? Is that what you said it was? The
403A and a 457.
Okay, so of those 403A and 457, if I got the numbers right, is that a system, or is that a plan? Is it a program? Maybe
It's a
we just need
system.
to. It's a system. Okay. So asking my colleagues here, and for all of us here, just for grammatical wording, to establish a retirement plan, it which can include a pension system or systems for members.
Okay.
Does that sound right,
Yeah.
Jen? Yep. You're okay with that, Cheryl? What do you think, Jen? What do you think,
I'm
Russ?
just looking at the after the comma.
Was legal the genesis of this, Cheryl? Were they the ones recommending this change?
Back when we were looking at it 4 years ago, they weren't even looking at the charter, we were looking at the ordinance, but they were talking about us trying to make a difference between the pension plans and the other retirement systems. But
Okay.
I think what Kathleen says, the wording she just used also includes that.
To establish a retirement
Retirement
plan.
plan.
And how about and associated systems for members of the police force and fire department, and to provide for a retirement payment or pension to any paid or salaried officer or employee of the town upon his retirement. How about that? So it would be to establish a retirement plan and associated systems. Would that work?
That is fine with me.
Okay, so
Because one is the plan, and then the other one is the mechanism
Correct.
that you would be using. Hold on, sorry, the pencil has puts the eraser. Okay. And associated systems. Then you get out of pension systems, 401 systems.
Right.
You
Although
could
the-
have a catch-all as an associated system and associated systems.
but carry on, then it does say to provide for retirement payment
Yep.
or pension. Is a retirement payment then out of the
System.
403A, out of the system, or a pension to any paid? I'm just that the pension is reintroduced at the
I know.
I'm also a little cautious about taking out the word pension
Right.
for those who do get a pension and maybe under collective bargaining or whatever. And I just wanted, it doesn't, nobody should be fearful about this. I'm not afraid with the
And no,
language change, but
I definitely would not recommend taking the word pension out.
okay, but we just did up above.
Well,
So-
retirement, you said retirement plan and/or
And associated systems. So we don't have a pension system or systems. We just have associated systems. And then, so here's how it would read. to establish a retirement plan and associated systems for members of the police force and fire department, and to provide for a retirement payment or pension, can we want to say pension payment, to any paid or salaried officer or employee of the town upon his or her retirement. How does that sound?
I'm gonna put my have lived through this kind of system too many times to know. I think I'm hesitant
To get rid
to
of pension in the town.
well, to refer to it later in the sentence after dropping it in the beginning of the sentence. And so, and again, I'm fine with it, but I'm just thinking about the potential reaction to that.
Right, I mean, if
Doesn't,
we have retirement plan and maybe instead of saying associated system, we just put pension system, because there's two. So I think the retirement plan would cover the individuals that are not in the pension.
doesn't
That's
Gerald,
what I'm trying to get in there.
yeah, I mean, doesn't
how about
Gerald's
this?
original recommendation just simply by adding a slash or solve the issue? And slash or, and then just leave it
Yeah,
the same?
and slash or
Let Gerald do
should-
that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of and/or in a contract or yeah.
Okay, so how about this? To establish a retirement system, to establish a retirement and pension system, and scratch or systems, right?
Mhm.
For members of the police force and fire department, and to provide for a retirement payment or pension to any paid or salaried officer or employee of the town upon his or her retirement. So in other words, we're getting rid of the second or system in there.
Mhm.
How about that?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Now, okay, so to establish a retirement plan.
No,
Oh, sorry, a retirement system.
no, to establish
I'm
a
writing an
retirement,
H. But,
yeah,
yeah.
and
System.
pension system.
Okay. Okay. Um, then keep going, because then I question whether you're providing for a retirement payment. Okay, that's obvious. Or pension. What's the difference? What are you doing?
They're the same.
Yeah. So
So
you're
maybe get rid of pension in that word because it's
yeah, for a retirement payment. Yeah, I don't know why you would do like a pension and then you provide another pension, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so all you're doing is providing a retirement payment. Take out pension or pension.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
It's just that wording is,
Yeah. And I don't have it in front of me, but does the ordinance say the same language or is it slightly different?
it's slightly different, which hopefully then that will be the next thing that I'll work with the town council on.
Okay. So to establish, we didn't edit that. So to establish a retirement system and pension system for members of the police force and fire department, and to provide a retirement payment to any paid or salaried officer, employee of the town upon his or her retirement. So, okay, we're establishing the retirement system and a pension system, and it just says for the police force and the fire department. But have you not also established a retirement system for all paid and salaried officers and
It
employees?
does. I mean, depending on when you started, it's all based on a start date, but
Yeah.
police, fire,
Okay.
non-union get it.
So I just want to make sure that the establishment of the retirement plan system, and I'd like retirement plans better than systems, but anyway, a retirement plan and pension plan or systems, and then and then it only says retirement payment to any paid office. I'm just wondering why it sort of separates the police force and the fire department and then kind of throws everybody else under just getting the payments.
Right, I think that's how the charter, I mean, I think as you see, there's a police section, fire section. I
Yeah.
think maybe that was why it was done that way.
Okay. Do you see what I'm saying, Jennifer and Russ?
I think the sentence is very awkward. If I was writing this today, I would actually break this into two parts.
Yeah.
Would have 8 be the systems, and then, for lack of a better word, 8A be a payment.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, does it really need to be so descriptive as to who's in what plans, or is that something that's more operational and perhaps could just come out in general? So here are the eligible options, it's pension or whatever, and the employees, officers, I don't even know if it makes sense to call out specific people. I don't know.
Yeah. Very sensitive about changing this for very
No, I know,
for a variety of reasons. but,
because
yeah,
people tend to.
yeah. Yes. Okay. And everybody's comfortable with the word systems or plan? Does anybody have a preference? Cheryl, what do you call it?
I call it a plan.
Yeah.
Joe Paulo.
I think the word that's missing after the word retirement is plan. And then the systems that you have could be a pension system or a 403A, et cetera. But the overall thing you have is a retirement plan, right? That's what the head of HR is responsible for. Establishing
Correct.
retirement, even retirement plans, plural.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I think though we need to be sensitive is that we're looking, this is a collection in this article of powers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
Powers of the town.
yeah. I actually think we should just reword this entire thing and stop fiddling with here and there. And as to your point, Kathleen, include the words retirement and pension because there are still people, I believe. Isn't there someone in the library still on a pension?
Yes,
Yeah.
we still have some officers that are.
Fire and police as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Well, why don't you come back to us? We've consumed a lot of time. Why don't you
Yeah,
just come back to us, Cheryl?
I'll work on it and I'll send another revision to you and then you guys can take it. from
okay,
there.
yeah. You
Sounds
know,
good.
and I would say it's very awkward in the sense. So, you know, look, I would rewrite the entire thing, but that's
Right, right.
I know, but
we fiddled enough on 3 words, which shows us that it's not working.
well,
Exactly.
right. Well, it doesn't say what it should say. But Cheryl, you're sensitive to the issues that, are evident. So we'll let you come back to us with wording that you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
Okay.
perhaps council could help steer it a little bit.
I think it's easy enough where we can figure this out. But Cheryl, why don't you come back?
I will come back with a sentence.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That you can live with.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so on to Article 5, Board of Finance, 519 hyphen 19. I will get there for us. Hold on. Okay, so change title to Director of Assessment, Taxation, and/or Tax Assessor.
So what's happening
Let's
here?
have a conversation here because this header is tax collector to be appointed by selectmen. So take us through what you're thinking about
Okay.
here.
So our tax collector retired. And in looking for tax collectors in the state of Connecticut, there are not a lot. So as we started talking about it with legal, with finance, we realized that some towns were going to have one person over both assessor and collector. We wanted to make sure with legal that we were not crossing any boundaries between the two offices and that there was a distinction in duties. And we had come to find out that yes, towns did do this. Now, we don't know that this is the way we will stay. We do have somebody in the tax collector's office who is going through the certifications, because to become a tax collector, you need to go to class for 3 years. So I think right now they're called the Director of Assessment and Taxation. But I don't want to tie the town's hands that if they want to go back to a tax collector and a tax assessor, that they can do that.
So what you're saying is you've put the roles together for now,
Correct.
but in the future they might be separated,
Correct.
or they might go back together.
Right. And it's working very well right now with Sebi overseeing both offices. Staff are very happy. And the auditors are fine with it. Labor is fine with it. But I don't know that that's the way we will stay.
Mm.
And his title has changed. He's the director of.
Yes, so he is
Assessment.
Director of Assessment and Taxation.
So somebody who's quicker than me on this. We do have a section on tax assessor, do we not? In the charter, I'm quickly powering through here.
Isn't it?
Article 6,
Article
P6
six.
1,
Yeah.
6, right next.
6, P6 1.
Yes. Okay, so we already have assessor identified,
There'll be one assessor who will be appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
and we have a tax collector. I'm wondering.
And the whole article assessor
Yeah.
is under its own article with
Yeah.
the assessment stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, gosh.
Yeah. So, And so Sebi, is there an assessor, or he's the assessor as well?
He's
Doing
the
both.
assessor as well.
So he's both right now. Okay.
So, and I mean, he is following what it says in both the tax part and the assessor part.
So can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Why don't we keep them separate, but
Mhm.
maybe there's nothing in here. We need to modify the shall not hold any other office in town government sentence.
Mm-hmm.
In C5, so here, I'll read it aloud. The tax collector should be appointed by the Board of Selectmen and shall serve at the pleasure of the selectmen. The tax collector shall have such powers and perform such duties under the direction of the Board of Selectmen as may be prescribed by the general statutes. The tax collector shall not hold any other office in town government or engage in any business in the town that could create a conflict of interest as defined in the town code of ethics. That is where that's where the separation comes. Service on committees of the town government is not prohibited by this section, provided that such service does not create a conflict of interest as defined in the town code ethics. And then
So can I ask a question on that? And in the legal review, was there any concern about a tax collector and a tax assessor being having a conflict of interest with each other if they were one?
No, the CFO is actually sitting here with us. No, we did check with legal and we also checked with the auditors because there was a concern to make sure that the duties were not in conflict, and they both signed off on this before we moved ahead with this.
And there are many towns go in that direction as well.
Right.
Right.
right. And is there anything in the general statutes that say that they have to be separate?
Not that we're aware of, and legal didn't point out anything.
No,
Because they also have the same language in 6-1.
right.
The assessor should not hold any office in the town government or engage in any business, blah, blah, blah. Can
that-
I make a suggestion then?
Yeah.
Can we table this one too? To go to be sure. But here's
I'm so
what I
glad
would,
brought these issues up.
no, this is good. This is the point. What I would suggest we do is just circle back and just double check. And if there's anything, my suggestion would be to just keep them keep them in their own groups. 6-1 stays, 5 obviously stays, but then we just alter the language about shall not hold any other office. That way, if you wanted to put them back together, you could. If you wanted to separate them, you could. What do you guys think of that? If this is allowable.
Yeah, I think that the language shall not hold other office, that's what we have to double check to see whether or not
Yeah.
that's good.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if we do find that it's permissible to be both, one person can be both, then we keep assessor in 6 as it is, because it works within its framework of the whole 6 Board of Assessment appeals, da da da. But we just alter that language in both of those articles.
Okay,
And I'll just add for our consideration, not at this meeting, but maybe a future one, that section 519, 520, and even those two are the only ones that reference the tax collector in this whole Board of Finance section, which, as we've discussed, is rather large, Article 5. And so if it were to have another place, and if there is a movement towards a combination or oversight of both tax assessor and tax collector, maybe that should be put into Article 6. And those functions of both assessor and collector are combined under Article 6.
I'm a little reticent to do that because what we have is the synergy with issuing a warrant to the tax collector in 520, which is clearly a job of the Board of Finance. And that seems to be a very important part of what they do. In that sense, so I would keep 520 there. And basically, I would keep 19 and just alter that sentence. Because you say you're going to have a tax collector, correct?
we
Hopefully
will
within
have
3
one
years?
certified within a year.
Within a year. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, what we thought was going to be easy peasy, not so much so.
And there
Okay.
there are other sections where tax collectors referenced in 5, a ton of
Yeah.
places in the ordinances, but I think your idea, Jennifer, if provided council's good with it, that the conflict of interest makes sense. You keep them intact, keep them as they are, and just remove the block,
They could be multiple people,
right?
one person doing multiple roles. Okay, super. Thank you, Russ. In the oh goodness. I see Tiger has joined us too. Thank you. Okay. All right. So on to Fire Commission. You had in C8-4. Okay. So thanks for your comments there. You had the Fire Commission shall an A, appoint a fire chief subject to the approval of the Board of Selectmen, right? Is that what you're saying here?
Yep.
Uh,
So in going through both police and fire, the way the charter reads and the way the collective bargaining agreements read, there's a conflict. So in the fire commission, if the fire commission is doing the discipline,
Yeah.
they also then can't go through the grievance procedure. So right now, how we're doing it with both police and fire is I'm working with the chiefs. We're coordinating whatever that discipline is, and then issuing that, and then they can grieve it to the commission. So I have sent this wording to the chiefs and both fire and police and the commissions for their, I don't know if they've commented yet on it, but I just would like to see some oversight with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so I think on C4, I think you and I had some back and forths in email about this because we had heard the same thing. Um, so you're following up with the chief and others on this as well, just to be sure that they're comfortable with this language?
Yep, and I will
C4.
get back to you after I hear from both of them.
Okay, and then to C1 above, um, for the adequate protection of the town and dismissal with approval of the Board of Selectmen. Can you give us a bit of color on that?
I feel that our first selectman is basically looked at as the CEO. If there was an emergency such as what we went through with COVID, they have all the powers. So fire, Board of Ed, everything reports into them. And I just feel like the language is somewhat silent when we're hiring a police chief or a fire chief. And I'm okay with it saying in coordination or with approval, but I definitely think something should come in front of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so what you're proposing is this would be the language. When a paid chief is duly appointed and employed, the commission shall supervise the chief in all duties and responsibilities of the office, including dismissal, with approval of the Board of Selectmen. So the police commission can't dismiss the chief unless they also have the approval of the Board of Selectmen. Is that what you're asking for?
That would be my recommendation. And I don't know whether they'll be in agreement with that or not.
You don't know who's
I
going
don't
to
know, and I put it over to the chief. I have not heard back from him, but I will find him.
But have you spoken to the commission too?
I put a note out to the commission. I have not heard back. I did speak with the fire commission and the fire chief, and they are okay with this language.
Okay, and then the next one, adequate protection, C1.
Where is this one? What is it? C841?
Yes, if you look
See?
under,
C1, okay. The adequate, okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, so got that one. Okay, so
and C4 is what we're currently doing.
mhm.
C4. Yeah,
Yeah, we had a conversation about C4. Yep. And so in I'm sorry, C1, okay, so it would read instead, employ and appoint career officers and firefighters and other paid personnel of the fire department as may be necessary for the adequate protection of the town with the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
okay. So with or to be followed by, right? It's first they have to approve and then they bring it to you to the Board of Selectmen.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So takeaways on fire commission. You'll follow up with us to be sure, or you'll just give us the okay on that other language, the dismissal language and the protection language, and confirm on the grievance language.
Yep. I will send that over today again.
Super.
Okay. And Jennifer, apologies. C4, the new language on disciplinary matters within the fire department, initiated by the fire chief in coordination with human resources. And it says if disciplinary action is grieved, the matter will be referred to the fire commission
Mhm.
in accordance with applicable collective bargaining agreement. Is everyone in the fire department under collective bargaining?
Everyone except the chiefs, the assistant chief and the fire chief are not.
Okay, and if this was, say, the assistant chief, where does the assistant chief fall under
That
this?
would fall under all of our managers, and that would fall under the Board of Selectmen. But
Okay.
the chief, the way it's written, it's the chief and the assistant chief are still under the fire commission.
Yes.
Um,
And what if there was any disciplinary matters with respect to either of those two individuals?
So maybe that part I need to look at a little more. Because right
Okay.
now I'm doing it in coordination if there is any discipline with the fire commission. And then they would grieve it.
Yeah, so this works for everybody with the exception of the two individuals who are not under collective bargaining.
Right.
So maybe just add a sentence.
Yep.
And that was what was brought up before, is the fact that, now we have a paid assistant chief where we didn't, but they both report to the commission. So that was what they were bringing up when we talked to the chief.
Mhm.
And I think it's appropriate to have the commission involved if there is ever discipline. And I would assume that if they're going to grieve that discipline, they would grieve that to the Board of Selectmen.
For the two who are not under collective
Correct.
bargaining.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So if you could just add that sentence, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Okay, going on to C14-1. So this is where I think we have a departure from our versions. The current version I have reads the appointment and dismissal of all employees of the town, except those who are elected or under the jurisdiction of the Board of Education, the Fire Commission, or the Police Commission, shall be made by the selectmen. So you want to change that to the appointment of all part-time, full-time, and seasonal employees of the town.
Correct.
And give us some color on the nuance of that.
I think there's been a long history with this, depending on the first selectman who has been in office, is that not all employees have gone through the Board of Selectmen. Over the past 4 years, we have made sure, even with seasonal, we bring a list so that we make sure whether it's part-time, full-time, or seasonal, everybody goes through the Board of Selectmen. Kathleen was involved in this a couple of years ago. So I'm just trying to make that language a little stronger.
I have no objection for obvious reasons, but
This is where, okay, so no worries. Okay. So then this is where I think we have a departure. What the charter continues to read as all appointments shall be made on the basis of merit and after examination to fitness.
Mhm.
So,
as to fitness, right?
yeah. So you had got here the dismissal of all full-time employees. And
So,
dismissal comes in here is before the appointment or dismissal of any paid employee, the selectmen shall consult with the board, commission, committee, officer, department, or individual to whom the services of such employee are to be or have been rendered.
so what I'm trying to separate here is seasonal and part-time employees. I feel that our department heads should be able to dismiss a seasonal or part-time employee without having to go through the Board of Selectmen. And so I'm trying to get that language in there somehow.
Okay. And a seasonal employee, just for my edification, as opposed to a part-time employee, is what?
Seasonal would be lifeguards, coaches, where part-time could be, we have part-time staff in the tax assessor office. So they're full-time, part-time. They're with us year round, but they're below 19 hours.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, so what you would prefer to say, before the appointment or dismissal of any paid full-time employee, you agree that the board of the selectmen shall consult with that
Mhm.
board. But then what you're asking for is any part-time or seasonal employee, right? We would
Right.
add something to the end of that potentially. Um, could be dismissed. What would be the term? I think I have to think of this. There's a legal term, right?
Well, they're at will,
At will.
so, yeah.
So this whole second sentence is red, right? I mean, it's because that doesn't exist in the current charter.
Mhm.
No, it doesn't. That's why I think we were working off of different versions.
Right.
Right.
So you're suggesting this entire sentence be added.
Yes.
Okay. So you've got the appointments of, and then you just want to add the dismissal of, but be specific only to full-time. So that's why it's separate.
Correct.
Okay.
And then what
And
we
then
could do is
Right.
add something at the end about dismissals of seasonal and part-time.
Or just not say anything about that, but just be specific to full-time.
Because it will, when we do get to the ordinance part, it does really get into that there. So to your point, Kathleen, maybe we don't mention it, we just mention the full time.
My question is and if this, what is on screen is the most up-to-date version, is the one that I see, that was emailed. All appointments, which means everybody, so all appointments, full-time, part-time, and seasonal, the addition of a physical and a background check, so that locks you in that for everybody, full-time, part-time, and seasonal, they have to have a physical, as in like a medical physical?
Well, we do background checks on everyone, and we do physicals depending on the positions. Russ, we have done physicals on part-time and seasonal, depending on what position they're in.
Got it. So the way this reads is by it saying shall means you have to do it for everybody.
Right.
So that may need a little tweaking to get where you
Okay.
want.
Well, it says, and after examination to fitness, and your examination as to fitness, not after, okay. Fitness, physical, and background check. You do all three?
We do, but maybe we put all full-time appointments shall be made on the basis of merit after fitness, physical, and background check.
Yeah, that was my point. That was my
Yeah,
point, Kathleen, is that if, as it's a shall statement, it forces them, if you do
Yeah.
part-time and seasonal, that they have to do all three, where that may not be desired.
And do you do fitness, physical, and background checks for lifeguards?
We do background checks on lifeguards. We do not do fitness or physical.
I think also too, I think this is fitness for office also
Correct.
as a term, right?
Right.
So it's not, always this, it's also
Exactly.
But physical
I just did
definitely.
my upper body for the day. It's really about if they are fit for office, right? Meaning they could pass the tests of the background and all the rest of it. That's what this word was implying at the time.
Right, whereas physical is not necessarily, could use your cardio good, but it is about, physiology, so.
Right. And so
Something
when they're
medical.
saying all appointments shall be made on the basis of merit after examination to fitness, they are accompanying us to fitness for office, meaning, you pass the background check, your, whatever your fingerprints, etc.
Correct.
That was the terminology. Whereas we're discussing here as a physical.
Right.
Yeah, I'm based on that, I would argue that we stay with the current language,
I would
which
too.
says, on the basis of merit and after examination as to fitness. Doesn't say whether or not you're healthy or financially fit, or it just says your determination to fitness. Is this person capable of
You
doing
fit,
the job?
right. Are you capable, fit, and you
Yeah,
pass the tests?
right. And I hope we're giving tests to lifeguards, but
I would agree with Kathleen on that, but because fitness then becomes what's appropriate for the position in the
exactly,
eye of the
Yeah.
appointee.
exactly.
That's what I was
Exactly.
saying. That's whoever wrote this in the past, that's what was there was intent.
So if that was the case, and leaving it as is, because that's all appointments, they'll be based on made on the basis of merit and after examination as to fitness. Period.
Yep.
And
I agree about the other language in the ordinance.
okay, and then all appointments
The
shall be made on the
ordinance said.
basis of merit. I don't mind putting background checks. Is that
And that's for everybody. Anybody who's employed has background check.
Well, that goes to fitness though, then, right?
Right.
is it?
Yep.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
And
So
what I like about leaving fitness as is, if new requirements for employment come
yeah,
along,
yeah,
right, you then have this lovely catch-all,
yeah.
right.
allows you to apply that word to you must pass this, you must pass that, you must pass a fingerprint test, and
Yeah.
that leaves it equally as flexible.
Yeah.
And then before the appointment or dismissal of any paid employee, um, should we change that to then before the appointment or dismissal of any full-time employee?
Yes.
And that would then solve your seasonal and part-time worker by being silent?
Yes.
Okay.
And
then
I
we,
added HR and department head in there because we're involved in all of that with the department head usually with the full time.
okay.
It just wasn't mentioned.
Okay, so what we can do then, and I'm happy to work with you offline if you want to, is before the appointment or dismissal of any full-time employee, the selectman shall consult with the board, commission, committee, officer, HR department.
Yep.
How about department? Well, department would be the group they work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to add in there HR.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute.
Individual to the. Yeah, so let's say we wanted to, I don't know, fire somebody in the parking group or whatever, you would consult with the department head,
Correct.
and then you want to add in HR.
Right, because we're involved in all of the disciplines. So if we
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. I like the department head add that you added and then human resources. Okay.
okay,
That makes sense.
okay.
Perfect.
And then the next is police commission, and I will take that offline to the chief and the commission and get back to you on those changes.
Okay, and it seems that it mirrors somewhat of the fire commission too.
It does, correct.
Okay. Alrighty-o. So that's wonderful.
Can I
Okay.
just ask a question? Do we still use the word personnel, or do we use employees?
We've been using employees. I think it's changing to personnel. Which part were you looking at, Kathleen?
There's title C14-1. So the article says town employees, but then underneath the title C14-1 is personnel. And I just wondered if that should be employees, because everywhere else it's referenced employees.
Yeah, I would change that to employees.
Okay.
Okay. So Cheryl, so what we can do is, if you want, you and I, if you want, we can work offline if you want, and we can
Great.
make tweaks, and you'll get back to us about the police commission and the fire commission.
I will.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a great
Cheryl.
day. Thank you.
And if you want, I can also send you an electronic copy of the current charter for your read.
Actually, I just got it. I have the.
Okay.
So, I'm going.
No
on-
worries. So you're working off the same playbook. No
Yes.
problem. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Tiger?
We're on, yes, we are. We're on.
Very good.
No problem. I just put us on high definition. There you go, look at that, even sharper. All right, so
Super.
you can hear us?
So Tiger, if you could state your name.
Sure. Tiger Man, Director of Public Works for the town.
Okay, super. And today we're going to be looking at the article, the Public Works Department.
That's one. Section 17. Article
Yep.
17.
Exactly. But before we start, do you have any comments or thoughts or any reflection on the charter in general?
The charter in general, we only found one section, the one piece that would need to be replaced. In C13, number 6, provide and maintain a system of public water supply and distribution for domestic business and industrial use and for fire protection. The town does not do that. Our public water supply is provided by either Aquarian Water or first and second Tassing districts. So I don't know.
That came up in an earlier as
Did it?
well, as one of those,
Okay.
we don't do this.
All right.
Would
So
there
you're
ever be
asking to
where you
strike
would?
that?
Not that we only do wells.
Yeah.
You know, so not necessarily, you know, I think. I don't know if you want to strike it or if you want to, I mean, because the town
It
pays
is an
for, we
obligation.
pay Aquarian for water service for our hydrants. So for fire protection in the areas that are serviced by Aquarian and by First Tassing District, we pay for that for that service. We pay for the hydrant service. So that is providing, it's just not maintaining.
And the way I read this is it says the town shall have the power, doesn't mean you have to do it.
Right.
You have the power
We have
to
to
provide and maintain a system,
You
so it's
could
not
just-
saying you have to. do it.
Right, you could do it, you could go backwards, and if we ever bought Aquarian, bought our service back,
Yeah.
you could do that. So yeah, looking back on it, you could, yeah, so it is, but it is, maybe it's just a point of reference that they are private at present. We don't have any public water. People call all the time and say, oh, we have public water, what are you doing? I said, no, we don't have public water, we have water provided by a public utility.
So
Okay,
what if we struck the word public?
well, it still says that the town would be responsible for it. Let me ask you further on that.
Sure.
Before Aquarian or any other private entity took over, was the town responsible for providing public water?
There was New Canaan Water, but I don't know, I thought that was private as well, to be honest with you. New Canaan Water was bought by Bridgeport Hydraulic, which was then bought by Aquarian. So I don't think that the town ever had it. That I'm aware. I think at the time it was a private water supply. It was called New Canaan Water, but it was private water. They were not public. I mean,
Okay,
but
and
point,
if any of these private organizations went out of business or shut down or what have you, is it not the town's responsibility to make sure that that water? It is.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to Russ's comment of, it's not saying that we own, it's more of a, I guess it's we will if we need to, I guess. you
Well,
know.
no, it says shall, the town
Well, I know,
shall.
it shall take effect, but,
No.
that's, you know,
First,
how do
the
you,
very first sentence under the section, general powers of the town says
shall
that
retain?
shall retain. Okay, everything that's listed here.
Right, well, we don't provide it or maintain it, it's provided for us, we pay for it. for fire protection specifically. We don't, but we also don't provide and maintain a public water supply system. But we do pay for a fire protection system that is run through Aquarium. Well,
I understand, I get the fire piece,
Yeah,
just public water supply. That's not, we don't have any responsibility for that, is that what you're saying?
that's
Right.
correct.
Even if the power, if Aquarian went out of business, if the water supply was no longer available for whatever reason, is the town responsible for making sure that continues?
I don't know how we would do that, other than buying the utility back from Aquarium,
Yeah,
buying the equipment and all the pipes underground, buying all their infrastructure.
so by having a private institution do this, are we providing and maintaining the system by utilizing a private system? We don't have to pay, this is, individuals have to pay for it, but the town doesn't
Right.
pay.
I would say yes, so. I would say yes. at
I
that
think
point.
that, I may be wrong, but I thought that was a general statute that you have to provide, even if it is, just ensuring that a private system is in place. We'll double
I'd have
check
to look
that.
back, that I don't know, I'd have to look back and look into that further. It was
Okay,
just brought up that, it's not really a public water supply system, it's a private company supplying the water.
By the way, Kathleen, Bill apologizes. He for somehow this didn't get on his radar. That was him on the phone. So, okay. So then how do we want to reword this?
My question, and I guess is, it feels like, and again, I'm not a lawyer, it feels like an enabling thing, not a requirement to do. So there's no, if it reads that way, there's no harm in it remaining. It's just we don't currently do that now.
Well, why don't we just take out the word public? And we just say it's a water supply system.
I don't think they do that either.
I don't think, no, I don't do that either. At present, the way it is, we don't provide a water system.
I don't get, up north, we don't get any water from the town.
Right, you're on a well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're on wells. Right.
So it's only about a third of the town, maybe a little bit more, that actually has quote unquote public water, that's provided by either Aquarian or the First Taxing District of Norwalk. So that's just, it's, that's why we bring it to your town. I don't know, we'll look up the enabling statute, the overall statute for the town to see whether or not we have to provide, if Aquarian didn't. And then we can go back, so why don't I do that? I'll just look that up. And see.
Okay.
AI says no, but
Okay.
that's AI, so we gotta go digging.
We'll leave it to the two of you. It is certainly a
Uh-huh.
safety issue on the fire. I totally get
Abs-
that. Yeah,
Right, that's why we pay for the
Right.
hydrant service with Aquarian. That's correct, that, I wouldn't want to strike that,
no,
but. I
So
just
maybe
don't know.
you modify to say to provide and maintain a system of water for fire protection.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
the only question we had when you just stepped off was whether or not that there is a requirement if the water supply is no longer available, even through the mechanisms that we have now. Is the town obligated in any way to do that, to step in? I don't know.
Well, I don't know, we'll look and see, I'll ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then
Okay.
find out, it's just, we'll find out if there's other verbiage.
And if you're not, that should probably come out.
Right, because we're not, it's right now, it's saying that we should, or we shall, and,
Well, it says you shall retain it. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So if Aquarian does, I don't know, if they went belly up, then the town, at this point in time, based upon the charter, we would be forced to buy Aquarian
Correct.
to provide, to make sure that we do provide. So let me look that up and see if there's actually a statute that says that we, that we shall provide in the instance that a quasi-public entity is not providing it. I can look it
Yep.
up. So I'll do that and I'll get back to you guys.
Okay,
No problem.
I still fall on the fact that it's enabling, but we'll do some digging.
That's in your camp, Russ.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right.
All right, on to
Okay.
anything else?
No, that was it. That was the only, it's very small and only. Yeah.
Anything on Public Works?
Well, I think that the charter itself is elegant in its simplicity. Because it basically spells out the duties for the director, for the department, quite well. So from the highways, streets and highways, to the buildings, to the parks, to equipment, to the sewer and water and refuse and school properties. So it actually spells it out quite well, and then it does tie in well with the ordinances that we have. Some of the ordinances we would like to toughen up a little bit, specifically around snow removal and things of that nature, but that's more something for the bylaws and ordinance committee, where we have some enabling statute that allows us to charge back if someone doesn't. But I have to notify them and wait after 10 days. Well, I can't wait 10 days for somebody to go remove their snow. That's a long period of time to wait, so, but that's on the ordinance side. But overall, it works quite well because we have overlap of all the departments that I oversee, or the director oversees, have overlap. So the town buildings, we have town buildings on separate properties, we have town buildings on combined properties, we have town buildings in the parks. We have 65 buildings, so there are buildings across all the borders. And then the highway maintains all the roadways, the parking lots, the sidewalks, on both the town properties and the town right of way. So there is a lot of overlap with the departments, as well as on the park side. We have it where, from a buildings perspective, the building superintendent is responsible for the walls in, and for the walls out starts to be the grounds, which would be the parks department, and or the building superintendent, whereby he's responsible for all the lampposts in town and the town parks and at all the town parking lots. So the statute, or the charter itself, lays it all out, lays out the responsibility, and puts the responsibilities into the director's hands, and he's able to then mete out the responsibilities based upon that department or that individual. So I think that overall that works quite well. Even to the point of, say, building permits, it's not necessarily known, but since the town owns all the land, even that the Board of Ed sits on, the director has to be the one to sign off on all applications and permits for building, planning and zoning, and inland wetlands or other permits associated with it. So in that regard, there's tie-in. Even on Waveney Care, I just had to sign for Waveney Care a week or two ago for their building permit, because Waveney Care, even though we don't own the buildings, sits on town land. And town land is, since the director is a signatory, the director has to sign off. And then there's some tie-in also with the town engineer, and the fact that she's responsible for all mapping of all properties. So therefore, again, same thing, parks, properties, whatever they are, the responsibility of the town engineer to make sure that any improvement is documented on a town map. And then just down to overall maintenance or construction.
Can we stop there for just a second?
Sure.
I'm reading the town engineer in terms of the maps, plans, drawings, bids, estimates, etc. And it says, except the Board of Education.
Right, that's the only one that we don't do.
Okay.
That there is a section in the back where we can, 1710, where we can go and care for school grounds and undertake engineering work. But the Board of Ed's got to ask us. So in that regard, we pave all their parking lots and we take care of all their sidewalks as far as construction and maintenance. But they've asked us to do that, and the town has appointed us basically to go and do that, since it's a town improvement to infrastructure, and any infrastructure improvements are handled by the Department of Public Works. So it's regardless of where they are. So whether they're in a park or they're in at a school, except for school buildings. School buildings are completely separate. So walls in on the school buildings unless they ask us to help them.
Just out of curiosity, why is that? Is that a state statute?
I there is a separation as far as the monies go, but no, I don't know. I haven't asked. There are other municipalities that actually manage the school buildings. So I think it's us because my counterparts in other towns manage the school buildings. So Farmington is one. I believe Wilton is another. I think Wilton was one. But there are others that are out there. Danbury is run through the Department of Public Works. So I think we're just a little bit different. But they handle it. They hire a building committee similar to what we would do on a size project for that scale. They hire a construction manager. They do a very nice job on their building reconstruction. So we don't have any we don't have any concern there. And we've already got 65 buildings to maintain. So having an additional 5 necessarily, we could pass. And then like I said, from the engineering and administration standpoint, we're responsible for all construction on town properties. So that includes, anything that was recently done in the parks as well. So Capo Field, the water tower turf fields, the pickleball courts, the track. And then now we're working at Waveney at present. We just finished the police department. So the engineering department itself is there's a nice tie-in as far as the maintenance of the buildings. As far as the engineering department does the construction and the reconstruction, and then the building maintenance takes care of the maintenance there going forward. So Bill and his crew take care of that.
In section 17-7, it says that the public works shall be in charge of, and it includes playgrounds, rec areas, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Is that accurate? Does the Recs department report into public works? We've had discussions around.
Recreation does not report in. Recreation never has, but for parks, so now that John took over as.
I should say parks, not recreation, because they're merged.
So, right, so Ryan reports to both John and myself at present, I could see, I see it, at the time when the town was reeling from the loss of Steve Benko, God bless his soul. I think it was a very good move to have John come in and take the two, but, I think that there could be a separation of, in the future, might go back to where, like, as Cheryl mentioned, with the tax assessor, it might go back to 2 separate departments at that point in time. But right now, Ryan reports to both John and I, in that regard. And then the union, overall, the Public Works Union is the Highway Department, Parks Department, Transfer Station, and Wastewater Plant. The only people that are non-unionized are the superintendent of each. Everyone else is a union member, and the union, the Director of Public Works is the arbiter for grievances, and even to the point of being able to make transfers between departments so that the men are able to transfer between departments if there's an opening and they're suitably qualified to make that move. And we've had gentlemen move back and forth between the departments several times over my course of time here. So
just trying to put my hands on it. On the yes, since the last 10 years there have been changes in terms of obviously the Parks and Rec, and I will say, I'm trying to remember if it was group 1 or 3. Judy might remember, she's just jumping on now, but there was a question about park maintenance. This is under Article 12. And maybe Tiger, you can chat with John Howe about this. I think it was under Judy's group. They are looking to just maybe add a line item under their section about park maintenance, and whether or not Park and Recs or the DPW, whether it goes to either one of you for the budget request. And obviously we didn't have any answers to that, but we thought that perhaps the 2 of you can get together and figure out if, is it in the right place, if you will, in terms
that's John and I, or John and Judy and I.
You
John
and John Howe. You and
Sure.
John Howe.
Here's the
So
sentence.
he spoke with Judy's group.
Yes.
Yeah, I listened in but it was, yes, under Article 12, and then with reference to your Article 17, just to make sure there's some it lays out, and even if it changes back for any reason, that the language is covered appropriately for the maintenance of parks and recreational areas.
Here's what the sentence says. Evaluate the maintenance and care of parks, utilizing the resources of the park maintenance staff of the Department of Public Works within the annual budget allocation provided to the commission by the town, or may be more specifically provided by ordinance. So that is 12.4
Right.
E.
Well, 4E. Right, so at present, we do report so John reports to Park and Rec, or I'll go to Park and Rec, give an update if there's a construction project going on in the parks, or ask for approval, because we won't do a project in the parks without approval by Park and Rec. So there's full oversight and full understanding of the project before it goes forward. So we've got the playground going on now. Ryan's taking care of that. And then we have the pickleball course that will be coming up so soon. If they get funded, that'll be near Waveney, and we're already giving them plans towards those construction. But anything that happens, we have to go to Park and Rec.
It doesn't say that it doesn't say that actually under their powers and duties. It doesn't say that they.
Yeah, well, underneath 12.7, it says that I've got to coordinate with I'm sorry, in the 17. Section 17, there's in mine, it says 17.7, it says that I've got to coordinate with the Department of Public Works.
After consultation.
Yeah.
After consultation, but then under their section, it doesn't say that they have actually, under their powers and duties, that they have to approve. You just consult. They don't have to approve it.
Oh, okay. I always took it that they had to approve.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Is there something missing here? Is my
That's
question.
fine. We can look at that. Yeah, I always took it that to me, it was a foregone conclusion. I'm not going to do something in the parks that they don't want. So it was,
Right.
It's to the point of saying, please vote on it. So but yeah, we can look at that. We can look at that. But that I took
and the
that.
reason why-
I never took it as a right. I never took it as a consultation. I took it that it was mandatory.
An approval, and I'm totally fine with that. But if the language doesn't say that, and this is going to actually weave into another question, a broader question that we might have in terms of oversight, governance, if you will, of the Public Works Department. And one of them would be to say, well, if you have to get approval from, say, individual departments, then you might not have to have your overall governance. But if you have to, because I know I've talked to you about this before, and I said, gee, you're the only department that doesn't have an oversight governing board, a commission, and maybe that's a good thing. But you say, but I do report to everybody, right? You have to get permission and so forth. But the charter doesn't reflect that.
Right, but the overall approval process inside of
you do it as a best practice. You do it as a best practice, not a requirement.
Well, yeah, yes and no. That's correct. So I do it because, like, even that, I never read that consultation. I read that as Park and Rec needed to say yes. If they said no, it wasn't happening. Or if they made an amendment to it, the amendment was what went forward, what transpired. And that might be me. But as far as like an overall governing body, my opinion now is that I was thinking about it last night. There isn't one board or commission that we do not have to seek approval from, that we haven't had to or have not sought approval from, apart from Health and Human Services. But from the health director perspective, I've got to go to Amy for, right now I'm working with her on a project at the Nature Center because we have lead abatement, right? And from a human services standpoint, when we go to pave a road, I reach out to Marcy because she has a vulnerable population list, and we've had to at times post an officer on the road because an individual who lives off of that road has daily emergency services. So we had to make sure that we could, coordinate that. So while I've never had to go for an approval of a project, Human Services or Health and Human Services Commission, it's the only one. So for the genesis of the project, I've got to go to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Town Council for the appropriation. Even to the Board of Finance and Town Council Subcommittee on Infrastructure, of which we don't just meet during the budget cycle, we meet about 10 times a year to go over projects. And then for that project, it could be, depending upon where it is, if it's an improvement of town property, it has to go to P and Z for an 8-24 review. That's a statute, section 8-24, to see whether it fits with the plan of conservation development. If it doesn't fit with the plan, the project can't go forward. Then it comes down to the fact of if the project falls underneath any other P and Z regulation, I've got to get a site plan approval, or most of the time it's a special permit because it's in Waveney or it's in Irwin, they're all special permit areas. So if we disturb anything greater than 10,000 square feet of material, I've got to go back and get approval. So the work that we'll do with the Irwin house, now that we demolished it, to go and grade off the top and maybe make a garden out of it, I've got to go to P and Z for a site plan approval. If it had a wetland associated with it, I've got to go to wetlands for a wetland approval. So we're working right now with the Conservancy and Inland Wetlands on Anderson Pond because it's a wetland area. And I've got to go get approval from them. The Fire Commission, I had to get approval from the Fire Commission to do well, at least from the Fire Chief and the Fire Marshal, who then report to the Fire Commission on the bump outs on Elm Street to make sure the fire apparatus can make the turn. So on Elm Street and on Forest Street, when we went to do those bump outs, we actually had them do the turning radius to make sure that every piece of equipment could make it. And then the Police Commission, if I'm doing anything on a road, like the bump outs for Elm Street or a mid-block crosswalk or anything like that, that's got to go to the Police Commission because they're traffic authority in town, the local traffic authority. So each commission, while I don't have an overarching one, I have to touch base with every single person because I trip over everybody on every project that we do. You know, I trip over at least one commissioner board. You know, I do 3 every single time because the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Town Council to get the money, then back to the Board of Selectmen for approval, right? And then depending upon what it is, I trip over somebody else.
And I love that, Tiger. Not in the charter.
I know, but
any of those. So again,
but it should be
broader,
understood.
it's a broader thing. Yeah,
Right.
it's a broader thing, but yeah.
Right, I mean, I guess some of it's best practices, right? Because we report back to the selectmen on a quarterly basis on every single project that we've done that has contingency.
Sure. I think that's great. Yeah.
But you are right, it's not in here, but I think that my personal opinion, I think it will, I don't know what it would serve. To be quite honest, right now, all the boards approve a project where it's gonna be, right? So they already approved the monies. So at that point in time, and then if you look at it from a paving perspective, that's purely engineering. Purely, it comes down to what our pavement condition index is. And if the road is up or it's not up. So it's not like in New Haven where the Board of Aldermen says that they have an oversight and every alderman gets their road paved because they gotta get roads paved in their district. I think that would be unfortunate if that happened here, whereby you just go by the engineering. So bridge replacement, exact same thing, goes by the engineering. Road replacement, sidewalks, just by the engineering, just by the numbers alone. It's a purely analytical decision at that point in time as to where we go. It's not driven by politics. It's strictly, in the case of sidewalks, most use and the worst condition. And then the road is what is best at that time, what's our best rate of return. And then buildings are the buildings. And then for each building, usually if it's a large scale project, we've got a building committee. Police department had a building committee, town hall had a building committee. Could have been argued that the playhouse should have had a building committee, but at the time when we entered the idea of doing the work, it wasn't that grand of a prospect. It wasn't that large of a project. It was $4 million until we broke open the walls and saw exactly what we were doing. But by that time, you already broke open the walls. And now you
4 million is a large project.
What?
4 million is a large project, even though it's still large at 4.
It's $400 is large for me. So yeah. I consider that it is large, but it's not unmanageable from our perspective. We were asked what we could manage, at our level, without other, without oversight, $4 million, $5 million was the number that was given out. So that kind of fit underneath it, but you are right, to me, $40,000 is a lot of taxpayer money, $4,000 is a lot of taxpayer money, so. But I mean, I just don't see the benefit, I just see that it would be an additional set of meetings for a group of people, and then we're gonna put forward a slate of projects. I don't see at that point in time them turning them down. You know, I see it just as a larger set of reporting. And I already report to everyone as it is, so that's my feeling on it.
Yeah. We
And
appreciate that.
I asked around the state, and because this came up during Judy's term, she bypassed it and said no. Jeb's term, he said no. Bob's term, he said no. Kevin's term, he said no. And each selectman so far has, even because Rob came in with the idea of having a commission, and then after he researched it, he said no. But he came in with the idea that he wanted a commission back when he first started, and then he determined that he didn't want one. He did the greatest look. And at that time, we found out that I believe there was only 2 towns in the whole state that had a commission. No one else had a DPW commission. The
Might
you know,
have
the
changed.
farthest I can get is my town has a building committee, not a commission, but a building committee that oversees buildings, right? So oversees the work in the buildings. You know,
Yeah.
there, you know, there's a lot of subjectiveness in that. You know, for Waveney House, we did have a building committee for the work that we're doing now. It just disbanded before construction. That probably should have been continued and had that building committee continue through the construction. I think that would have probably been a wiser decision than to just have them through the design, choose what's going to happen, where the elevator is going to be, things of that nature, and then be disbanded, because there's so many things that come up during construction. I think it would have been good for them to be there for that. But the DPW commission, I don't see, but you know,
Thank you for that. I will say, even if that was something that others had thought that was appropriate to be considered and viewed, it will never happen under the Charter Revision Commission this time around, because it would have to go through an ordinance process first. So it would, and that's how you start any new board or commission, is that you start first with the town council creating an ordinance, et cetera. And then once it's established and it's seasoned, et cetera, then you'd consider it for the next charter revision. So if anything of that nature is going to ever take place, it would have to first go through the town council. So you don't
I
have
didn't
anything to
know.
worry about
Thank
right
you.
now.
Thank you for that, you know, so, you know, like I said, I just, you know, I feel that we do a very nice job of reporting to everybody. And like you said, it's not reflected in here, but you know, the
Yeah,
best
we'll just have to,
are.
we'll take it back to the commission and just see, you know, to what extent should we make sure that is codified, if necessary, in each of the commissions where Public Works comes and makes a report and asks for permission or consultation or approval, that we'll have to consider that broadly across for all of the constituents that you currently deal with. So, okay, thank you for that.
No problem.
All right. Anything else?
No, I didn't have oh, bless you.
Sorry, I have, sorry, just if I can, don't mind. So in both the town engineer and the director of public works, there's language that says that you are, or the director and the town engineer shall not engage in any other business or hold any other office, public or private, for which a salary or emolument is paid. How do you, I mean, how do you verify that, like, somebody doesn't have a, you know, a personal business in snow removal, for instance, either positions? I mean, is that something that's monitored at HR, or how do you do that? That there's not
Well, we have to, we have to sign off, if we are going to, I guess it's the other way around, so if you wanted to do it, I can't do it by statute, right? I can't do it by charter, right? But if a town employee wanted to do it, we'd have to ask HR, and it gets approved by the Board of Selectmen. But
yeah, it's really only those two people. It's only those two.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's a, you know, and I don't know exactly how, you know, the
Okay.
we don't, but it's the two of us I guess
Yeah.
it would be, how would you verify it? I don't know how you would verify. I guess HR would have to verify that.
Right.
Or at least ask us, do we have another job? But we don't have another job.
Okay, so that's pretty clear in the
Right.
charter, and you guys, okay, got it.
Yeah, we
And
can.
aren't they,
It's been a
aren't they
shell.
also bound by the Code of Ethics?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know that it's explicitly on all on senior employees like this. So, but it's specific in this particular article.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to just double check that that's
Right, we're bound by the code of ethics, but
Yeah.
I have a different, not everyone is in the charter, like Maria and I.
Right.
correct.
I
And most
understand.
importantly, it's based on conflict of interest, like Connecticut General Statutes 1-84, which is a code of ethics for public officials, says the conflict of interest is the important part. So HR is the one who would vet whether, it constitutes, or whether there's a question about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't prohibit it. It just want to make sure that obviously for the taxpayers and the representative, that there is a review process that
Right.
occurs to make sure there is no conflict.
Right, probably should be that way, but I can understand why it's here, because then you don't have to worry, like you said, a snow removal company, or, who knows what it could be. Maria could hang a shingle as an engineer, and then what do? She gets a client from New Canaan, you can't. So to me, there's no gray. It's black and white. It's just a no, call it that, make it easy.
Yeah,
Maybe
I've actually
You're the only
seen,
one, you and the engineer are the only ones that know it.
I've actually seen in other towns, and these people have appeared at our hearings, where, for instance, the town planner of Norwalk, Steve Kleppen, moonlights doing town planning work for private law firms. Yeah,
That's correct. We've hired him actually to work for us, so yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but Maria and I are bound in, and to me, there's no conflict there. I'm not
Right.
looking for any change there. I think it's a good thing to have, because then it adds to the public trust that there isn't any issue. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. It would be almost, I'm not looking to have that changed.
Okay, so then the only follow-up is, can you just connect with both the water, you and Russell look at that.
Yeah, we'll do some digging.
And then
Yeah, and I'll talk to John
John on
about
the
the,
park.
yeah, I'll listen to what they said. John and I have weekly lunch
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah.
so we can talk about that during that time.
Okay.
And then, I don't have anything else,
Okay.
that directly pertains to public works, overall, so. That's it.
Thanks, Tiger.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tiger.
Thank you.
Very good.
I think
All
that's
right.
it. I think
That's it. That's it.
That's it. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
All right. This meeting is concluded. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Are we on this afternoon?
No,
No. Okay.
we are working on articles.
Yes, we are.
I sent you guys a deliverable. I'll be sending you more.
Oh, great. Okay. Just have to shut off the recording then.
I will.
Thanks again.
Thanks.